Okay, good morning, everyone. A very good morning. Okay, today being your last class, we are just covering the last chapter, that is lesson 8. Okay, so lesson 8 is all about common business terminologies. So, what do we understand by business terminologies or the term terminology, basically? Okay, so when we work in business, okay, or when we are doing certain form of business, we do use certain words, okay, words which are common to our business. Might be if I'm in a science and research or development or something, the terminologies what we use will be different. When we are doing something related to legal work like CS secretarial work or something, we have certain terminologies. And when you're doing management related work, you will have certain terms which are used in that particular field. Okay. Similar to what we called it as jargons, here we call it in a more defined particular way where it is being called as terminologies. So, what are these terminologies? Here in this chapter, we are going to understand what is a particular term and what is the actual meaning of this. Okay, if you ask me how they will ask you in your exam, they will generally give you the meaning, the entire sentence, and they will ask you what is the best suited option in the given four terms. Okay, so it is more than enough if you study only the terms which are given here, and nothing new or additional will be required. Okay, this is more than enough. What all terms which we are going to cover today. Okay. The topic of business terminology is the main vehicle by which facts, opinions, and other higher units of knowledge are represented and conveyed. Some terminologies work is meant for reducing ambiguity and increasing clarity. So in certain fields, when we use a particular word, it will mean or give a higher definition. So we need not go and clarify it over and again. Okay. So even if I give a small certain example or use that particular word, we will understand what is the context that we are talking about. The quality of specialist communications depend to a large extent on the quality of the terminology being employed. So when you are being a professional and the terms what you are using as a professional, then it matters what kind of terminologies you are basically using in your speech. Excuse me, I just have cold. Okay. So let's say if I'm a professional. So when we are being a professional, so what are the terms that we generally use being professionals? So once you become a lawyer, there are certain terms which you will use. So instead of using those terms, if you use a longer narratives, the people in your profession will not respect you. Okay. So what are the terms which I have to use in order to convey a meaning becomes very important when you choose a particular profession. Okay. Voluntary or involuntarily, we memorize the words of our daily usage. So basically, once you start getting into that profession in a small or a larger way, you will understand what are these concepts. So now if I tell you board minutes, you will understand something like a minutes which is being taken. Board of directors meeting will happen every year, quarterly once. And the annual general meeting will happen yearly once. Then you have extraordinary general meeting. So all these concepts are it might look different for you, but once you start with your executive, this will become the basic language. Okay, the same way if you get into the professional level, you will understand what is mergers, what is acquisition, or what is a writ petition, or what is a petition, what is affidavits. Okay, so all these things are common terms which you will start understanding once you come to the next level in your education. Okay, various spheres and topics have been covered with range from accounting, banking, taxation, advertisement, business law, communications, economics, finance, insurance, international business, management, marketing, real estate, and various other areas of business. So in this chapter today, we are covering most of the concepts. Okay, not much into others. If you ask me, it's more business concepts and legal concepts. Okay, little bit to finance related, marketing related. All these concepts we are trying to cover in this particular chapter. The words we are trying to cover. 10 basic or most important terms, words in English language. The first one is management. Running of business is called as management. So what is business? Business means any activity which involves providing goods and services in return for any profit. Okay, financial or commercial or industrial aspects which involves profit. Next is marketing. Marketing is promoting and selling my goods, okay, or products or services, whatever I manufacture, to another person is called marketing. Profit. Profit means for every work what I do, there will be certain amount of cost involved. That is my cost price. So beyond my cost price, let's say my cost price is 100 rupees, but I sell it at 120 rupees as my selling price. So selling price minus cost price will be my profit. Okay. So telecommuting involves involves working at home, usually on a computer. Today we don't call it as commuting, we call it as work from home. Okay. Downsizing is a plan where the number of employees in the company wants to be reduced. Okay. So might be due to recession or no production or no business. When the company plans to reduce the number of employees in the organization, it will be called as downsizing. Outsourcing. Outsourcing means a process where I'm not able to do the work entirely by myself. My organization is capable of doing only particular type of work. Okay, might be we produce a product, but we don't do a particular form of packing. So for packing, what do? We hire somebody from external people and we send all the goods after production to them. They will pack it and send it to our stores. Okay, that's called as outsourcing. When a particular job is being given to an external party to be completed and given back to us for final sale, then it is called as outsourcing. R&D or research and development. So we all know in business or industries, the research or development, whatever we do in an organization, that particular department or particular work will be called as R&D or research and development. Headquarters. Usually, the administrative office, head office of all the branches, okay, will be located in one place. So where it is being located, that will be called as my headquarters. Market. Market means in global terms or the world of commercial activity where goods are being bought and sold openly or online e-platform, wherever goods are being bought and sold. These concepts will be these places will be called as markets. Okay, market or markets. Then we start with the actual terms. So what are the actual terms which we are going to cover here? Are a lot of terms are being covered. Okay, so in this we will try and cover as much as possible, and if any doubts, kindly ask us at the end. It will be easier for me to explain. Okay, the first one is acceptance. So where does acceptance comes in bills of exchange? So we all know what is bill of exchange. When goods are being sold from one party to another party, let's say in return, not for cash, but future payment, then bill of exchange will be crossed. Okay, so it will be sent across from the seller to the buyer. So when the seller sends it to the buyer, and the buyer will check whether all the goods are as per given in the document. So how many products, how many, what's the price, what's the total? He will check everything. And once he signs the document and agrees to pay that particular amount, it will be called as acceptance. Okay. So assent given by the party to bill of exchange by signing across the face of it. Acceptance done by online by clicking on the accept button. It is called as acceptance. Okay. So in bills of exchange, we will come across with document called as acceptance. Just a minute. The next concept that we are going to hear is acknowledgement. Acknowledgement is the signature of a clerk or an attorney certifying that the person signing the document has signed by his or her free act and for the purpose or purpose set forth therein. So here what happens, the once a document is being signed by anybody, okay, without any force, then it is called as acknowledgement. So basically, when we go and deposit money in the bank, okay, they give a challan or an acknowledgement saying that this particular person has deposited so much of money in this particular account. That's called as your acknowledgement. This happens for every document that you give. Might be if I go and deliver some couriers in the government office, or if a company has to reply to any government letters, then when we go and give it in the government office, when we give it at the entrance, okay, there will be a reception or something in every government office where we go and give it there. They will seal and sign and give us one document saying that this exact copy is being received by us on this particular date, and that particular person will sign and give us. That's called as acknowledgement. Then you have acquisition cost. Acquisition cost are the incremental cost involved in obtaining a new customer. So when a new buyer comes to us and we want to retain them, okay, so there will be certain amount of bargain that's happening and all these things. Finally, after all the bargain and all these things, whatever is the final cost that we agree to sell the product, that will be called as acquisition cost. Then you have act of God, a term usually used in insurance to denote risk and danger arising out of natural causes that are beyond human control. So we also call this as force majeure. Okay, the legal term will be force majeure, or we call it as act of God. When let's say like COVID or any floods or whichever happens, because of that, if we go through any loss, then it will be considered as loss due to the act of God. Okay, so these are something situations which can't be controlled. Then you have action, also called as a case or lawsuit. So action means when I want to take a relevant action against you, means I'm going to file a proper case or I'm going to start a lawsuit against you. A civil procedure, a civil judicial proceedings where one party sues another for wrongdoing or to protect a right or to prevent a wrong. Okay, so actually when a case is being started, it will be called as action. Then you have ADB. ADB is Asian Development Bank. So you all would have studied in commerce. Okay, so these are the basic terms. Then you have adjournment, postponement of a court session until another time or place. So uh, what happens here? So let's say a case is being given a date. Let's say the case given a date was March 25th, 2020, but on that particular date there was a lockdown. Okay, so what happens, the particular case will be adjourned, the particular case will be adjourned to a future date. Might be they would have given a date saying May 25th, 2020. Okay, so it is being adjourned for 2 days or 2 months. So particular date it was supposed to be heard, it was not heard, it is postponed to a next date, it is called adjournment. Then you have adjudication. Adjudication is a decision or a sentence imposed by a judge. So finally, when the case is being heard and a final judgment is being given, that judgment will be called as adjudication. Affidavit, a written statement signed in the presence of judicial officer, a notary public, or an oath commissioner that is admissible as evidence in the court of law. So, in general, what we can say is affidavit is a document where I have to take a promise. Okay, yes, I have done this particular job. I have done this particular job. I am the person who deposited 1 lakh rupee. I am the person who deposited that 1 lakh in SBI bank on this particular date. I agree this entire money was deposited and the relevant challan was being collected. Okay, so when I want to give a promissory note, so how do I give that? In the form of affidavit. Okay, affidavit is a stamp paper. On the stamp paper, we will write all the documents, all the points which we are saying. Yes, I have done this. Finally, we will sign it, and after we sign, a notary public will sign against the document. This is called as affidavit. Okay. Next, you have affirmation. Affirmation is declaring something to be true under the penalty or perjury by a person who will not take an oath for religious or other purpose. So, affirmation is something where a person is not ready to give an affidavit, then he can take another concept which is called as affirmation. Affirmation is whatever information I'm giving is true. Okay, so certain people for religious purpose or other reasons they would have agreed that we will not give any promissory notes. For that purpose they will give affirmation. Then you have agenda. Agenda is a program listing items of business to be transacted in a meeting. So if I'm having a business meeting, what are the items that I'm going to discuss in that meeting? That will be given in my agenda. Okay. Then you have agent. Agent means any middleman who is being appointed for a commission. Okay. He'll be called as agent. Then you have allegation. So what is allegation? Saying that something is true. The assertion, declaration, or statement of a party in a case made in a pleading. Okay, so allegation is when there is one more party and he is telling that any action taken by him or any truth or false statement whatever is giving in relation to a particular case that will which is being made to the court will be called as allegation. Then you have allotment. So what happens in allotment? When shares are being issued to one particular person, after it is being issued, a share certificate will be given to them. Okay, in the share certificate, we will tell how many shares are being allotted to them, what price they have paid, and all these details. Okay, that process is called as allotment. Okay, basically issuing shares or debentures to the applicant who has given the money. Okay, then you have amalgamation. So what happens in amalgamation? Coming together of two or more previously autonomous business into a single undertaking. So company A and company B is getting merged into company A, or company A and company B getting merged into company C. Okay, so when two entities lose their identity and form into one, or two entities merge together where one entity will lose its name. Okay, two entities merging will basically be called as amalgamation. Then you have American depository receipts. So here the concept is a receipt showing evidence that shares of foreign corporations are held on deposit or under the control of an US banking institution, used to facilitate transaction and expedite transfer of beneficial ownership for a foreign security in the United States. So here what will happen? Basically, when I want to invest in United Nations, then I can't invest in that particular country. So how I can invest by buying American depository receipts. See, these concepts you will not understand if you're still in degree first year or PUC. Kindly don't panic, just understand what is the meaning. The basic detailed concept will come in your professional, okay, the final level of exam in securities paper. So there we will teach you in detail what are these concepts. Okay, but basically, general understanding is if I want to invest in United Nations or buy any stock or shares in that particular country, then I can invest by buying American depository receipts. Okay, then you have amortization. So what happens in amortization? The distinction or gradual writing off of liabilities or debt over a period of time, loosely speaking, through depreciation of wasting assets through operating operations of a sinking or purchase fund. So what happens here is the basic concept is depreciation. Okay, let's say the value of the asset was 1 lakh rupee, but over a period of time it is not 1 lakh rupee. In 2020 it's 1 lakh rupee, but in 2025 the price will come to 50,000. So the value is reducing over a period of time. That is called as amortization. Okay, then you have annual returns. So what is annual returns? Every company has to file. Okay, it is a statutory document which has to be filed by every company. Okay, be it a private company or a public company or a LLP. So every entity, being a company or an LLP, has to file Form MGT 7 or Form 11. Okay, for LLPs. So this needs to be filed with the registrar every year within 60 days from the end of the annual general meeting. So you will read all this in executive. Just for your understanding, it is an filing which will be done by every company and also by LLPs. Okay, towards the register of companies, stating the what is the status, name of the company, who are the shareholders, what is the indebtedness of the company. All these documents will give. Then you have annuity. So what happens in annuity? A fixed sum of money payable for a whole or part of a person's life under the term of insurance policy or will. So every year we have to pay a certain amount of premium and all these things that will be considered as annuity. Okay, a fixed amount paid every year, which we have agreed at the beginning, will be called as annuity. Then you have appeal. Appeal is a process by which the correctness of the decision of the lower court or tribunal is questioned in a higher court. So let's say in a district court, I file a case. Judgment, I'm not happy with the judgment. So then what I can do, if I'm not happy, I can make an appeal to the high court. Okay, so when it is being given by a lower court, if I'm not happy with the judgment, I go to high court, I make an appeal in the high court. High court gives a judgment. If I'm not happy with the judgment, then I make an appeal to the Supreme Court. Okay, appeal is again, if I'm not happy, I go to higher authority for re-hearing the case. Appearance. Appearance is an official court form filled with the court clerk, which tells the court that you are representing yourself in a lawsuit or a criminal case, or that of an attorney in representing you. All court notices and calendars will be mailed to that address listed on the form. When a defendant is a civil case file, sorry, when a defendant in a civil case files an appearance, the person is submitted to the court's jurisdiction. So appearance is nothing but on behalf of a particular case, there will be a lawyer or a CS who will be appearing in NCLT tribunal or any other tribunal. So if you make it's a form basically, if I fill it and give it, so whenever is my next case, when is my next hearing, all those details will be sent by mail or post to me. Okay, so that I know that I have to go and appear for that particular case. Then you have appellant, the party appealing a judgment or decision to a higher court. So appeal is a process where I can go from lower court to higher court. Now a person who is filing this appeal is called as appellant. So let's say Mr. A is not satisfied with the decision given by the lower court, so he is going for an appeal in higher court. Here, who is the appellant? Mr. A is an appellant. Okay, he is being called as appellant. Then you have arbitrage, the business of taking advantage of difference or a difference in price of securities traded on two or more stock exchanges by buying in one and selling in another, or vice versa. So arbitrage, easily if I can tell you, means, let's say I have bought apples today, okay, for a price of 150 rupees. Tomorrow I will see that the price of apple is going higher and the price of mango is coming down. So let's say price of apple is 160 rupees. I sell it in the next day market and I will buy mangoes 120. I will hold mangoes for another 3-4 days. When the price of mangoes goes to 140 rupees, I will sell mango at 140 rupees and then I will buy some other product. Okay. So in this, what I'm doing, there is a price difference, 10 rupees, 20 rupees, what I'm making in like in a week's time. Okay. So there will be 3-4 stocks which I will buy. In this in this stock, what I'm buying, whatever is the difference money, okay, which I'm trying to sell this and invest in another stock and make a profit in the next 2-3 days. Short term trading, which we do in order to make a better profit, is called as arbitrage. Then you have arbitration. Arbitration is a quasi-judicial arrangement whereby a dispute between parties are solved by referring it to a mutual consent to arbitrators whose decision is binding. So there is a particular form, okay, where if a case happens in a company, we don't want to go to the court directly. Okay, let's say I don't want to appear to the district court of Bangalore, district court of Mumbai. Okay, I don't want to appear. Before I go to them, I and the other party, we will agree to go for arbitration. Okay, this is the preliminary level. If we are able to settle with an arbitrator, he is nothing but a middleman who will come, who will with a mutual consent, we will appoint him. We will tell him what is the problem with me and my opposite party. He will listen to everything and based on that he will give a judgment. Okay, arbitration order. If I'm not happy with that I can make an appeal to my lower level courts and go till higher level. Okay, so the first level, if we are having any disputes, that can be settled with an arbitrator. The process is called as arbitration. Okay, then you have arrest. When a person is taken under a judicial custody, it is called as arrest. Then you have asset. Any asset that is being, anything that is being brought with a value of money and which becomes a part of the business will be called as asset. Can either be fixed assets or it can be current assets. Okay. Then you have asset turnover. The asset turnover means, asset turnover is the sales divided by total assets, important for a comparison over time and to other companies of the same industry. This is the standard business ratio. So we have certain business ratios like current ratio, profit ratio, and all these things. Like that, asset turnover is a concept where total assets is being divided by sales. Okay, so that we get what is the, sorry, sales is being divided by assets, so we get what is the asset turnover ratio. Then you have assets. Assets include all the assets of a company. Asset means any one thing. All the assets put together will be considered as assets. Okay. Assignment. A transfer of right, title, or interest in a property from one person to another. For an assignment to have legal effect, it must be absolute in writing and be communicated to one owing the right. So assignment is nothing but when I'm transferring my rights to another person, okay, to do that particular job, or the title or interest in that particular property for a particular span of time, that will be called as assignment. Okay. Then you have ASSOCHAM is Association of Chamber of Industry, sorry, Commerce and Industry, one of the bodies in India. Okay, Indian industry. Then you have assurance. Assurance is a protection that is being given against any mishappening that's going to happen. Let's say in case of insurance, if death happens, then that's an assurance. If any death happens, we will give you a particular amount of claim. Okay, that's assurance. Then you have attachment. Attachment means a lien or property or asset to hold it to pay or satisfy any final judgment. So let's say I have a land. To my land, I have against this land property, what I have taken a loan. Okay. If I have taken a loan, it means it's an attachment. Okay. So once I pay all my loans, only then my property will be a freehold property. So when there is any lien means charge or loan, okay, on the property or the asset, then it is being called as attachment. Final judgment can't be provided until all these loans are being satisfied, or the buyer agrees to take this particular loan also and says, yes, I will set it off once I buy this property. Okay. So lien or charge means any loan that is there along with an asset, okay, or a property is called as attachment. Then you have attestation. Attestation is the authentication of a signature by an authorized person who could be on oaths or oaths commissioner or a notary public. So in front of a notary, if I get any of my document attested, okay, saying that yes, the content whatever is given is true, he is the person who has signed this document and it is being signed in front of me. Okay, they will just put a seal and sign it in a green ink. That will be called as attestation. Then you have attorney, a person legally appointed or empowered to act on behalf of another person during the latter's lifetime for a specific or general purpose will be called as attorney. So if I am not able to perform any activities and I am appointing a person legally to ensure that all my work which I am not able to do, another person is going to do on my behalf, that will be called as attorney. So for this, we execute a document called as power of attorney. Okay, that's the document which we execute and say Mr. A is not capable of doing all these things, might be he's traveling or something like this. So in his absence, Mr. B will do all the activities. Whatever is done by Mr. B is as good as what is if it was done by Mr. A. Okay. Attorney of records, whose name appear in the permanent records or files of a case. So whosoever names is given in a case file as a proper attorney who is going to appear for that particular case, he will be called as attorney. Okay. If he is appearing for a case, then he will be called as attorney. Otherwise, in general terms, also for doing any commercial activity, I can appoint an attorney. Okay. The next term is auction. When an asset is not being, the liabilities against an asset is not being paid, then the asset will be auctioned at large. That is called as auction. Okay. Then you have audit. Audit means examination of the financial statements of the company for any given financial year. Okay, financial year in India will be April to following year March. So during this time, we will audit and check whether all the transactions are properly conducted by a company. Then bad debt. Bad debt means I have to receive a particular amount. Let's say I have to receive 10,000 rupees from Mr. A. He has not paid me from the past 5 years. So sixth year he dies, then it means I'm not going to get that money forever. That is called as bad debt. Okay. Bail. Bail, also called as bond, money or property given to a court for a temporary release of a defendant to ensure that the defendant will return to the court. So a particular time span in which a person has done a fault, okay, he's being arrested, but after that he is being given certain cushioning time where he can go out of the court, he need not be in the jail, but for later hearings he has to appear. Then you have balance sheets. The assets and liabilities of the company for any given financial year will be stated. That is called as balance sheet. Bank account, any account which is being opened with the bank will be called as bank account. Bank rate is the interest rate what is being given on the FDs, RD, or any other deposits what we have with the bank for a given span of time. That will be bank rate. Okay, that can also be interest rate what we are earning, or it can also be the interest rate what we are paying against a loan. Okay, bank statement. Bank statement means a printout which will be given by bank for a period of time where we tell I require a bank statement from January to March 2020. They will give all the details of the transactions, what's happened in this particular period, and it can be given in the form of a printout, loose sheets. Bankruptcy is I don't have, okay, I am liable to pay 1 lakh rupee, but I don't have 1 lakh rupee worth of money or assets with me. Okay, so when my liabilities exceed my assets, then it is called as bankruptcy. So I don't have enough money to pay my liabilities. That process is being called as bankruptcy. Book value, when the assets of the company are shown in the books. Okay, so let's say we have one car. Okay, the car was being bought for 7 lakh rupees, but after depreciation after 1 year the car's value was 6 lakh 50 rupees, but the market value for the car will be 5 lakh 75,000. Okay, so book value means as per the books what is the depreciation, after depreciation what is the value, that will be the book value. The price at which it can be sold in the market, that is called as market value. Then you have bookkeeping, the method in which all your transactions are being recorded by a company, that will be called as bookkeeping. Bounced check, when a check is being deposited in a bank and the particular money is not available in the bank against that particular check, then that particular check will be bounced. Okay, this is called as check bounce or bounced check. Break even point. Break-even point is a process in economics and also in finance where we understand that whatever cost I have incurred in manufacturing a product, let's say I have incurred 100 rupees, so I have to sell this product at least for a price equivalent to my cost. Okay, so my cost price is 100 rupees. When I receive 100 rupees against my product, then I have broke even. That means break even point is achieved. Then beyond break even point, whatever I achieve is my profit. So if I sell the product at 120 rupees, that means 20 rupees is my profit. But if I sell the product exactly at 100 rupees, it means I have reached a point of break even point. Okay, so every sales whatever we do, we have to ensure it is being sold at a price which is equivalent to cover my cost. Buy sell agreement. So buy sell agreement happens mostly in a transaction where a seller and buyer come together and they agree to buy a product and sell a product. Okay, one person is going to be a buyer, one person is going to be a seller. They both agree at what price, what quantity, how many days before, what is the terms, everything is going to be agreed there. This is called as buy sell agreement. Okay, here the entrepreneur will show his interest in buying the a product. Okay, because he will be interested in understanding what is happening with that. If I buy that product, I can use it for further development and all these things. So basically an agreement or understanding between a buyer and seller will be called as buy sell agreement. Then you have call. Call is in case of a company, okay, limited company and also even private limited company, you will have first call money, second call money, final call money. So what is this? If the share price is 10 rupees, we will not take the entire 10 rupees. Okay, we will take only, let's say 5 rupees in the first call, 2 rupees in the second call, 3 rupees in the final call. So the call where we are making in order to demand them to pay the remaining money as per the face value, this is called as call. Okay, then capital. Capital means the actual money which is being spent on the business, okay, which can be in the form of which is having a longer term impact, that is land, building, machinery, okay, which the benefit for which will not be recovered in the same year, but over the years we will receive the benefits. So let's say I invest in my plant and machinery 1 crore rupees, okay, the first year itself I will not get the benefit, might be after 6 years or 7 years I will reap the benefits and I will make that 1 crore rupee back. So capital means an asset or an expenditure which takes place and the benefit is not reaped within that particular financial year, but it will be reaped over a span of more than 1 year. Okay, this is capital asset and capital expenditure, both are same. Okay, so capital asset means the benefit is reaped over a period of time. Expenditure means the expense what I do can be realized over after a span of 1 year. Okay, not within a year. So if it is within 1 year, it will be called as revenue expenditure. If it is more than 1 year, then it will be called as capital expenditure. So what they teach you in accounts class, the same will be there. Then you have a case. Case means any lawsuit or action filed against another person in case. Case laws, judgments which is being provided for a particular case, and we are facing a similar situation. Okay, so when I'm facing a similar situation, I can give example of particular uh, a case saying that A versus B case number so and so in this particular year. Okay, my case references are similar to this particular case. Kindly check to this particular reference, and hence this particular judgment was given for that case. I am also requesting for a similar judgment in my case. Okay, so when I'm giving an example of some other case similar to my case, that will be called as case loss. Okay, then you have cash discount. When a sales is being happening, then if I'm selling a product for 100 rupees, and if a person asks can you give it at 95 rupees, I say okay fine, buy it, and instantly when I'm giving a discount, that will be called as cash discount. Okay, cash flow statements, whatever happens in an organization with respect to cash. Okay, this can be in three types, that is operating, financing, and investing. Okay, these three items will be given in my cash flow statement, that is called okay, this is basically called as cash flow statement. So first we'll start with cash flow statement, then we start with profit and loss account, then we go with balance sheets. Okay, this is one of a statement. Then you have cause list. Cause list, cause list is issued by the registry of the matters to be heard by the court on any given day. Cause list contains information like bench, courtroom, and position of the matter. So when we go to any particular court, okay, and in the court before it will be just like a timetable. Okay, in the timetable they will give in the cause list, if my case is there, okay, let's say my case is Mr. A and Mr. B, who is having a case on this particular day. Okay, so there it will say serial number 5. Okay, case A and case B will be heard. Who is the bench who's going to heard? Bench means the court judge. Okay, who is the judge, which room number he has to go for that particular hearing, and any particular details. Okay, it will just be like a timetable. So once you go to the court, if you have not taken the cause list, but previous day only the cause list will be given in the website. If you don't see that in the court, it will be displayed. So next day when we go to the court for that particular hearing, we can go there and we can see where is our case, which room number, where I have to go, and which place I have to go. I can go there and appear for that particular case. Okay, then you have so people are asking why doubts are not being answered. Kindly hold on. Doubts will be taken up at the end of the session. Okay, for 5 or 10 minutes last. So if we stop for doubts, we can't complete the chapter within the given time. Okay, I have told you already, we have time limit, and within that we have to complete, because we are doing this for a cause. That's why. Okay, so the next one is caveat emptor. Okay, here a legal doctrine, literally meaning let the buyer beware of what he is buying and satisfying himself about the quality and condition of what he is buying. So caveat emptor is nothing but this concept. Okay, this is a foreign word where it means the buyer needs to be aware of what the product he is buying. Okay, so before you buy any product, that's why they'll give you terms and conditions. So it is your responsibility to read these terms and conditions and understand it. Okay. Then check. You all know a bank check is called as a check, which is being drawn by one person to another person. It's a negotiable instrument. Once it is being deposited in the bank, the relevant amount which is being written in the check will be given to us in form of cash. Okay. Then you have collateral. Collateral is a security given in the form of fixed assets and ordered in addition to those already furnished. So collaterals means basically they are securities. Okay. So when securities are being provided in the form of fixed assets, let's say we are taking a house loan. Okay. When I'm taking a house loan, I have to surrender all my original registration papers of my house with the bank. Okay. So when I surrender all these things to the bank, it will be called as collateral. Okay. So I can't sell or do anything with the document because everything will be with the bank. So whenever you take a particular form of loan, the ownership of that particular asset against which you are taking a loan, the papers will be given to that lender. This is the when papers are being given to the lender, these papers which are surrendered to them will be called as collaterals. Okay. Then you have commission. One is for sales commission, where sales or something happens, a particular amount of commission will be given to the agent. That is a sales commission. The same happens also in case of funds. When I'm investing in a particular fund, a broker commission and all these things will be given. That's a commission, middleman amount, whatever we pay. Then you have common law. So what happens in common law? Laws that are developed through case decisions by judge, not enacted by legislative bodies. So here, when a case law is taken as an example for many cases, then it will be called as common law. But common law, how does law come into picture? It will be passed in the legislative assembly, Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, then it will go for president assent. Okay, only then it will become a law. But here, case studies which are being passed as previous judgments taken up for next alternative cases, whatever comes, this will be called as common law, where a particular law as such is not being formed, like Companies Act or something like that. Okay, it's not a particular act, but judgments which are being considered for repeated cases, that will be called as common law. Complaint, when I'm not satisfied with anything that is happening to me, then I can raise a legal voice or a criminal proceeding or whatever it is. When a legal document tells the court that I'm not happy with the transaction, what has happened against another person. Okay, who is the other person? The other person will be the defendant. When I file a particular case or something, that will be called as a complaint. Police station, what we go and give a complaint, that one. Okay. Conditions are terms and conditions which are to be read before signing any document, or it is called as binding. Okay. So binding based on the signatures on a legal contract will be called as conditions. So if I do anything wrong against, if I don't follow any of these conditions, then it will be called as breach of agreement. Okay, breach of terms of agreement or whatever it is. So conditions are basically the terms which we have to follow. Whoever has signed the agreement, they'll have to follow that particular conditions. Then you have consignment. So consignment is basically in accounts what you will study when goods are being shipped from one person to another person. Okay, so the transferring of title is not completely happened yet. It is still in consignment. So Mr. A is selling the goods to Mr. B, and the goods are shipped from Mr. A, and it is in the transit process, and very soon it will reach Mr. B. Okay, when it is in the transit process, a pro forma invoice will be sent to Mr. B, saying that these are the goods that are being shipped and it will reach you, like just how we place an Amazon order. Okay, so once we place the order, it will say this is your order number, these are the goods that you have ordered, this is being shipped. Okay, so once it is being shipped, they will say the consignment is shipped. So once it reaches us, then we would have received the particular order, whatever we placed. When it is in transit, it will be called as consignment. Then you have consortium. Consortium, okay. An association of company formed for the purpose of undertaking a particular activity. There may be no other connection between the companies outside the scope of activity. It is usually to share the limited resources or a risk associated with a particular activity undertaken. So consortium means what happens? Let's say there are 10 food industries. Okay, these 10 food industries are facing a particular problem, that is shortage of raw materials. Okay, when all these 10 industries come together and make an application to the relevant department saying that the raw materials are not available or their concerns, okay, when they're tell it to a particular department, when 10 companies are coming together for a common cause, okay, once the cause is being settled, they will go back and do their particular activities as an individual, but until the cause is completed, they will come together. Okay, coming together for a particular cause or fight against a particular cause or raise their voice against a particular cause, then that is called as consortium. Okay, it's consortium. Then you have contempt of court, a finding that somewhere someone disobeyed a court can also mean disrupting court, for example, by being loud or disrespectful in a court. Okay, so if I shout or disturb the court or proceedings of the court is not happening as per what is to be followed, then it is called as contempt of court. Then you have contract. Contract is nothing but an agreement where two people come together and sign. Conviction, when a person is found guilty and he is the person against whom a case is being given and he is being identified as the person who has done a particular fault, then he will be called as a convict or conviction. The process of telling that he is a faultful person or he is the person who's done a mistake will be called as conviction. Cost, the expenses incurred for doing a particular work will be called as cost. Cover note. Cover note means a document issued by insurance company to provide cover to the insured till a formal policy document is issued. So once I take an insurance policy, until my formal policy, actual policy is issued, they will give me a particular document or a challan, okay, saying that this person has taken this particular policy. This is the name, this is the address, this is the premium amount what he has paid, and all those things. Okay, basic slip will be given until a detailed policy is being sent across to me. That will be called as cover note. Then you have credit. Credit means you're not paying the amount, you're just taking the buying the product, and with a belief I give it to you that on a future date you will make me the payment. Okay, credit. Credit notice, a document which is being sent by the seller to the buyer to rectify any errors in the invoice or to allow the credit for goods return. Okay, it is written, it is entered in the books of accounts. So credit note is nothing but an invoice which is being sent that these are the goods which is being provided to you. If there is anything as sales returns or errors, kindly update us. Otherwise, you can go ahead with that. Okay. Then you have CRISIL. CRISIL is again a full form, which means Credit Rating and Information Services India Limited. It was set up in April 1998. Okay. Then you have crisis. Crisis means any like what we have now. Okay. COVID, because of COVID, there are a lot of disturbance in the economy. So this is basically called as crisis. Okay. Because of crisis, when something happens like this, then government will not be stable, economy will not be stable, a stock market will not be stable, industries will not be stable. Okay. This is called as crisis. Cross-examination is questioning of one party, another party. You would have seen in movies. Okay, so what happens in movies? One lawyer will cross question the another party. Okay, that's called as cross examination. Then you have CRR. CRR is basically cash reserve ratio. It will be issued by RBI. Okay, it indicates the reserve what a commercial bank has to maintain as a part of security. Okay, see, we are not going in detail with what is CRISIL, what is CRR, and all these things. Here we are explaining you only the basic term. What are these terms? Okay, these terms will be used more and more in your executive and professional levels, where we'll explain you what are these concepts. See, we will not explain you because this is a professional exam. You have to put in your efforts and make your efforts. Go study it with Google or something and understand what are these concepts in depth. Okay. Then you have current assets, the assets which have a short term, that is within a period of 1 year. If something is being recovered, then it will be called as current assets. Basically, my debtors, inventory, okay, all these things will be running within a span of 1 year. Okay, within a year, let's say by by January, I do some sales. By March, I receive the money. Okay, he is a debtor in the month of January. By December, I will receive by March, I will receive the cash. Then it is called as cash assets. Cash debts, the same way, short-term debts and liabilities, which are entering within a financial year. Then it is cash term debt, current liabilities, current debt, current assets. Okay, damages are when compensation awarded by a court of law for breach of contract in a civil litigation. So when we identify that Mr. A is a person who has gone through some particular loss, then his particular damages has to be paid by the other party. Okay, so when the court says this is the particular amount of compensation that you have to give, the term will not be called as compensation, it will be called as damages. Okay, day order, this basically comes in your stock market in trading, where an order is completed within a 1 day trading period. So trading will happen during particular time. So over the counter stock exchange, or if I'm doing it through my depository participant, however I trade. Okay, when I'm doing a particular trade, when a trade order needs to be completed within that particular given day, then it is called as day order. Then you have debentures, similar to my share certificate. When I issue debentures, this is a debt instrument which a company will issue. It can be issued by public financial institutions, or limited companies, or also private limited companies. Okay, there are certain set of rules which we have to follow as per company law, SEBI, and all these things, and based on this we can issue debentures. Okay, similar to my share certificates, debentures will also be issued. But debenture holders are not the owners of the company, whereas shareholders will be the owners of the company. Okay, so debenture is a form of a loan which I say I will take it and I'll repay it on a particular date. Until I repay, I will give you particular amount of interest. Okay, debit note is basically sent from a seller to a buyer to rectify an underchange in the original invoice. It is in the nature of a supplementary invoice. So when there is any correction to a debit note, credit note will be given to me. Once there is any correction in my credit note, then I will send a debit note. Okay, debt and equity. Debt means any loan that is payable. Equity means ownership in the company. So debt and equity ratio should always be 2:1. Okay, then you have debt financing. Debt financing is a process where when borrow money from a lender and agrees to repay the principal with interest and regular payments for a specified period of time, you are using debt financing. Traditionally, it has been the most common form of funding for small businesses. So nothing but a particular amount will be taken for a particular span of time, and then after that I will start repaying this amount. This is basically happens in every business. Short-term loans or whatever we take, that will be called as your debt financing. Okay, you can also use today we can use credit cards, personal loans, merchant loans, or all these loans. Okay, whatever they provide, all that will be called as debt financing. Then you have declaration. An unsworn statement of facts by a party to another party will be called as declaration. Then you have deed. Deed is nothing but similar to your agreements, where one party agrees and the other party agrees. Then we seal, sign, and everything is being completed. Then it will be called as deed. Then you have a default. Default is mistake what is being done. Then you have a defendant. I've already told you, in when a case is being filed. Okay, when one person will be called as a respondent, the other person will be called as defendant in a case. Then you have dematerialization. Dematerialization is a process where physical share certificates are converted into electronic form with the help of depository participant. Depository is a system which comes in between. See, these things you will study in detail again in your security law. Okay, so here we are just telling you what is the format. So depository is one middle entity where if I have physical share certificates, I have to surrender it to depository. Depository will convert it into electronic form, and they will give me an email notification or something like that. Okay, so depository is basically a middle agency which will work for maintaining all my electronic format of share certificates. Depreciation, you all will know, when price of an asset is reduced. Derivative market. Derivative market is again in stock market, where the value of the asset is value of the share certificate is not, or the goods whatever is traded is not given on a particular date. Okay, it is derived on the future value. You will study this again in risk management. where we will explain you what is derivatives, how it will work, what are futures, options, hedging, and all these concepts. Okay, basically it comes in stock market. Okay, and the value is not being determined on a future date. The value of the asset will be derived. Differentiation, when the value is being okay, let's say the value of a building is 1 lakh rupee, but it is being sold at 98,000. Okay, so there is a difference of 2,000 rupees. Okay, there can either be a decrease due to any economic situation, or there can be an increase due to goodwill or loyalty or whatever it is. So it can either be 98,000 or it can be 1 lakh 2,000. So the difference of money, whatever comes in between, okay, at the time of actual sale, that will be called as differentiation. Disbursement means if a legal case has happened and damages are being told that this amount has to be paid. When I agree to pay that particular amount, then when I actually pay that money to the other party, then it is called as disbursement. Um, Discount, when any amount is being discounted bill is once the actual amount is given, but I give a particular amount and give them a discount and then give them a revised bill, that will be called as discounted bill. Dismissal means a judge's decision to end the case. So the case is being dragging for a long period of time. When they decide to end it, then it will be called as dismissal. Then you have disposal, ending a legal case or a judicial proceedings. Okay. Finally, we understand that this case is gone for a longer time. We tell that yes, we have to dispose this case. The case will be heard and then it will be dismissed. Okay. Disposition is the manner in which the case is settled or resolved. The process in which a case is being heard will be called as disposition. Dissolution is the legal end of a marriage is called as dissolution, or it will also be called as divorce. Dividend, a particular amount given on the shares which is being held by a company, will be called as dividend. It can either be paid both for what do you call both for dividends, checks, warrants. Okay, so all these things, when a particular interest is being provided, it will be called as dividend. Document of titles, when this basically comes in your shipping, where the evidence of ownership of some small assets is not being provided. When bill of lading, that is once the goods are being shipped, loaded into a particular vessel, okay, then it will be called as document of title will be passed on from the seller to the buyer. Okay, so this is a process which again comes in bills of exchange or negotiable instruments, where a bill of lading or delivery challenge will be shown as a document, as a proof, until the exact title of documents is being transferred to the other person or the buyer. Okay, domicile is the nationality of a person, where he resides. Okay, the original nationality of a person will be called as domicile. Draft is the final document is not being agreed, but a particular document is being studied over a period of time, that will be called as draft. Dumping, dumping is a process where, let's say, China is not able to sell it to America. Okay, they had a particular sale agreement to sell 1 lakh quantity of some product. Okay, product X, then they are not able to sell the entire product, so 10,000 products became waste. So what they will do, they won't keep it in their particular country, they will dump it to small countries like China, Vietnam, India, somewhere they will dump it, where the product will be available for a lesser price for us and we go and buy it. Okay, this is called as dumping. We also come across with anti-dumping policies for this. Then you have earnest money. Earnest money, refundable security in the form of demand draft or bank guarantee to keep off non-serious applicants, usually for tender. So I just give a particular deposit to win a tender, but if the tender is allotted to me, the money will be utilized. If it is not being, if I don't win the tender, this particular money will be refunded to me. Okay. Then you have EBIT. EBIT you would have studied again in accounts. Okay, this will come in your balance sheet, earnings before interest and taxes. Then you have EBITDA, the other concept, that is after earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization. So the concepts which you will study in your financials, balance sheets. Economies of scale are when I want to break even faster, okay, my cost has to reduce. So you will study it in your costing paper where variable cost and fixed cost will come into picture. When I try to reduce this, how can I reduce this? When I increase my production, okay? When I increase my production and reduce my cost price, that is called as economies of scale. Then you have ED, Enforcement Directorate, who will come into picture for all your foreign exchange transactions and also for violation of any law, okay? Enforcement Directorate will come into picture. He's called as ED. Encumbrance is any liabilities attached to a property will be called as encumbrance. Encumbrance is also similar to my attachments. Okay, so lien against a property will also be called as encumbrance. Okay, so basically, if what is the title, what all needs to be surrendered, and all these things, for that perspective, we will take encumbrance certificate, or we call it as EC. Okay, endorsement is Mr. A is there, he is not able to pay the money, he has sold particular goods to Mr. B. Mr. B, A gives this invoice to Mr. B for the purchase what he has done. Mr. B has further sold this product to Mr. C. Okay, so when he has sent it to Mr. C, the bill will be endorsed to Mr. C, and Mr. C is liable to pay to Mr. A. Okay, this is called as endorsement, which happens in negotiable instruments. Entrepreneur, owner of the company. EPS means earning per share. So this will be the price what a particular person could find on will realize for a given particular share. Escrow account is another. Escrow means it's another legal document, okay, which is in the custody of a third party, and is made available to you only after a completion of the particular conditions. So let's say when I go for mortgage, all my documents will be surrendered to the bank. So the bank will keep it in an escrow account. Once I pay all the loans, the document will be released from escrow account and given to me. Okay. Then you have ESOP. ESOP is employee stock option plan. Estimate is forecast. Okay. What is the future? What will happen? Based on that, we take an estimation. Evidence is proof, document, testimony. All those things will be called as evidence, which is being provided in the court of law. Uh, um, Ex gratia means the payment of money taken where there is no legal necessity to do so, but where some moral obligation is recognized. So ex gratia is nothing but we can also say it as what we give it as under the table will be called as ex gratia, tips or something. Okay, ex parte done for or at the request of one side in a case only without prior notice to the other party. So when a case is favorable to one particular party without the notice or hearing of another party, then it will be called as ex parte. Exchequer is a treasury of the government. That particular term is called exchequer. Then you have stock, ship, or warehouse. This comes basically in my shipping industry or warehouse where I have, where goods have been delivered at the dock and it is being kept at the dock. Okay, let's say it is being shipped from Singapore to India. It has reached India. Let's say it's reached somewhere in Chennai or Kolkata or some side of this particular coast. If it comes and lands there, then it will be kept in that particular warehouse. Okay, until the buyer comes and takes that particular control over that goods. That will be called as ex dock, ex ship, or ex warehouse. Executor, the person who will execute a particular will as per a deceased or a dead person, carrying on as per the directions what a dead person had given. Okay, that will be called as executor. Expected return, let's say when I invest in a particular asset, I expect a certain percentage of return. That will be called as expected returns. Extrinsic value, the market value of a product exceeds the amount what is being invested, is called as extrinsic value. So let's say I bought a house for 1 lakh rupee, but the actual price was supposed to be 2 lakh rupee, but because of the goodwill and all these things, I've sold it for 3 lakh. Okay, the additional 1 lakh what I get will be called as extrinsic value. Face value, the value of a share at which it is being sold, it is also being called as nominal value. Factor, again a merchant or a agent, okay, will be who is involved in the process of buying and selling or disposing goods on behalf of the principal agent, will be called as factor. Then you have FEMA is Foreign Exchange Management Act. FICC is Federation of Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Fiduciary is imposing the obligation of a trust. A fiduciary relationship imposes a legal as well as moral relationship. So the relationship between a trust and a trustee will basically be called as fiduciary relationship. Okay, financial statements in an organization means P&L account, balance sheet, cash flow statements, along with explanatory statements and audit report. All these documents put together will be called as financial statement. It will be done for every financial year. Okay. Findings. When the court or the jury identifies any facts or issues of a case, then it will be called as findings. FIPB is Foreign Investment Promotion Board. Then firm means a group of partners coming together to run a partnership firm. It will be called as firm. Firm offer means it is a firm commitment to sell. Okay, I have made up my mind. Yes, I'm going to sell it at a particular price on a particular date. Okay, fiscal means it relates to raising and use of money by government. So fiscal deposits and all these things, whatever relates to government, the term fiscal will come. Then you have fixed assets, which are long-term assets, and benefits will be reaped over a span of one financial year. Fixed interest rate, the rate of interest paid on your FDs will be called as fixed interest rates. Floating interest rates, the rate of interest will depend on the amount of loan what you have taken. Okay, if your loan exceeds 1 lakh rupee, your percentage of interest will be 7. If your loan exceeds 2 lakh rupee, your percentage will be 7.5. If my loan exceeds 3 lakh rupee, my interest will be 8%. Okay, so this is called as floating. Fixed is whatever amount I take, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, whatever I take, my percentage of interest will remain at 7% or 8%, whatever is understood. Okay, then you have foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is foreign currency which is being traded. Okay, that will be called as foreign exchange. Foreign exchange rate is every year what happens, the exchange price, that is for dollar 75 rupees, 76 rupees, 77 rupees, every day there will be a change. Okay, this is called as a foreign exchange rate. Forward contract, I don't know. We'll see how much ever possible today we will complete. Other things, it is self-explanatory. You can go and read. Okay, basically it's words with meanings. We'll try to complete as much as possible today. Then you have forward contracts, forward delivery, and forward trading. See, all these three concepts will come in your derivative market. I told you already, you have a concept of derivative market where we will understand what is forwards, options, futures. Okay, so all these are different concepts which will come under derivative market. So forward contracts means on a future date, I agree to buy the product. Forward delivery means on a future date, I will agree to sell this particular goods. Forward trading means on a future date, the buyer and seller agrees to come into a contract today and agree that on a future date, they are going to buy or sell this particular product. Freight means delivery. Okay. Delivery will be called as freight. Again, you have futures. Futures also will come only in your derivative market. On a future date, they will agree what is the price. So this basically happens with your commodities. So let's say coffee, oranges, fruits, all these things, how it happens is over the stock market, it will be with the help of derivatives. Okay, on a future date, I agree to pay this particular amount. You have to give me so many kgs of coffee or so many tons of oranges and all these things. Okay, then you have GAAP. GAAP is generally accepted accounting policies. GDP is gross domestic production. GDR is Global Depository Receipts. Just understand the full form, okay? Just the full form, be clear with that. Or they can ask you in exams, what is GDR? And they can give you 4 options. So please know what is the full form. Then you have goodwill over the period of time when the value of the asset goes beyond, like Kingfisher and all these things. The asset value is only 1 lakh or 1 crore rupee, but the brand has a particular demand in the market. So because of the demand, let's say 1 lakh rupee worth will be called 10 lakh rupee. Why? Because there is a concept called as goodwill. Okay, so there is no physical presence, hence it is an intangible asset. So goodwill is always intangible. Then you have grievance, when I'm not satisfied with the particular judgment being given, okay, and it is against me or something, then I get into grievances, then I can make an appeal. Then you have gross profit, again a P&L item. Okay, gross profit will be detailed there. Then you have guarantee, when a particular person takes a loan. Okay, Mr. A is taking a loan, then the banker will tell who is your guarantor. So I have to get one more person as a guarantee or something who will give me a surety. That person is called as, that process is called as guarantee. And the person, let's say I'm getting Mr. B as my guarantor, then Mr. B will sign that Mr. A fails to pay the amount, I will pay the amount. Okay, he is called as guarantor. Guardian, yes, any person who is securing a minor or a person who is not of a stable mind, he'll be called as guardian. Then you have habeas corpus. Habeas corpus means a court order used to bring a person physically before a court in order to test the legality of a person's detention. So, if a person is not coming to the court or physically appearing and giving his particular statement, then the court will order him to come in person. So, police or somebody can go and get him under custody and get him to the court. That will be called as habeas corpus. Then you have hedge. Hedge again comes in your derivative market. Hedging is a process where we are trying to reduce the risk of positions what I hold. So this is basically a higher level concept. You will not understand so easily, but still the basic concept, all these things, hedge, future, forward, options, all these things will come in my derivative market. Okay. Then you have hire purchase. Yes, we all know what is hire purchase. Purchase agreement where I will purchase it today. I will pay a small amount. Particular in this amount, certain amount will go towards my capital. Particular amount will go towards my interest, and slowly I will pay this over a span of so many years. After the completion of that particular term, the asset will be mine. Okay. Holding company, if a company has 51% or more of control over another company, it will be called as holding company, and the other company will be called as subsidiary company. Hypothecation is again the process in which I get into mortgage or something. The original documents being rendered to the lender will be called as hypothecation. Okay, it comes in mortgage. IAS is International Accounting Standards. IMF is International Monetary Fund. Income statement, also called as profit and loss account. Okay. Income tax is the tax imposed on every individual company, professional, and all these things. A particular rate will be imposed. That is called as income tax. Then you have indemnity. Indemnity is I have not done like one person will say this person can certify this particular form, the information given in the form are true. Okay, if anything goes wrong, I will indemnify and take up the responsibility for the mistakes what happened. So one document is affidavit and the other document is called indemnity. Okay, so I am trying to protect the other person who is signing this document and saying everything what they have signed is based on the information what I have given. If anything goes wrong, kindly hold me, not the person who has signed. Okay. Indent, again, order, a purchase, whatever happens, which is being given from a seller to an agent will be called as indent. Okay. It will not be called as invoice because he is not selling the product. He is just taking the product in his custody. Indenture, where two or more parties as opposed to one made by a single party. It is a deed where two or more parties will oppose against one party and sign an agreement. Okay, that's called indenture. Then you have inflation. The price of the product is gone beyond rate. Okay, the actual price will be 10 rupees, but due to inflation and demand and supply, the product will be priced at 15 rupees. Okay, this is called as inflation. Injection is an order, a court order directing a person to act or refrain from acting in a particular way. Okay, he is not supposed to go out of India. He is not supposed to do a particular act. He is not supposed to withdraw 1 lakh rupee or more. Okay, so all these things are called as injections. Then you have, excuse me, insider trading. Insider trading is a process where the people who are in a company know the particular details of that particular company and they invest in the shares or securities based on the information available. So if it is going high, they will purchase the shares. If it is going low, they will sell the shares. If they are doing any of these price sensitive activity, then they will be called as the people who are doing that will be called as insider traders, and the process will be called as insider trading. Then you have insolvency. Insolvency is a process where the assets what I have is not enough to set off my liabilities. Okay, then it is being called as insolvency, and this can lead to bankruptcy. Okay, instrument, a formal legal document will be called as instrument. Insurance is the process of taking insurance from any company which tries to protect me from the calculated risk or liability in future. Intangible assets, as I told you, it can't be touched or it's not physically present, like your goodwill, okay? But it will have certain value and the value will be given in my balance sheet. Intellectual property is trademark, patents, all these things what I take will be called as intellectual property, okay? These are assets of the company which can be valued at a particular price and sold, okay? Interest, the percentage of interest which is being calculated for the borrowed fund. Interest rate, the rate at which I have to repay this particular amount, and along with the deposit will be called as interest rate, okay? Then you have internet banking, the facility of taking internet for banking will be called as internet banking. Inventory is the list of items or stock with me at a given point of time. Invoice, bill. IRDA means insurance regulatory and depository authority. Judgment, the decision being given by a court. Jumbo certificate, okay, let's say I have invested in a company and I have 2 lakh share certificates, okay? Instead of having 2 lakh share certificates, they will give me one jumbo certificate. That will be one certificate with the details of entire 2 lakh share certificates, okay? Instead of having separate share certificates, they will give me one certificate combined with all the details. That's called as jumbo certificate. Jury is the judiciary body which is hearing a particular case, will be called as jury. Kind is when payment is not being made in cash, but we provide goods or services equivalent to cash value, that will be called as kind. Labor intense, the production which involves a lot of labor or employees to work in that particular application, it will be called as labor intense. Landing order, when goods are being shipped from one particular place to another particular place, before they enter the port, they have to take a landing order. That is, let's say I told you an example where goods are being sent from Singapore to India. Okay, so before they enter the port of Chennai or enter the port of Kolkata, they have to take an order from that particular port, and only then they can come and land the shipment there, dock the goods and deliver it there, okay, and transfer it to the warehouse until the buyer will come and take it. Then you have laundering. Laundering is a transaction where they are trying to cheat another person intentionally, and with this they conceal the they don't tell where it is originating from, like money laundering and all these things, okay? They don't know where the money is actually coming from. They try to manipulate things, okay? This is called as laundering. Lease, property given on lease will be lease. Legal tender, a tender which is being called for and legally you apply for that process, will be called as legal tender. Letter of credit, I am not able to make the payment immediately. In return, I am giving you a letter of credit. On a particular date, I will pay the amount what is being written on letter of credit, okay? So along this can be only the amount or along with an interest. Then this basically comes in import export trade. Then you have liabilities. Obligation to pay will be called as liabilities. Assets will come in my asset side of balance sheet. Liabilities will come under the liability side of balance sheet. Then you have libel, defamatory material in record form as opposed from a slender, which is oral. The victim may file a suit for damages. So when somebody orally damages your image or defamation or something happens, okay, when they try to damage your reputation, then you can file a suit against them. This will be called as libel. Okay, license, yes, permission given by the relevant government. Lien, again, something related to your mortgage, attachment, and all these things. Lien is a loan, okay, or something as a charge which is being created against an asset will be called as lien. Limited liability, we all know in shares, it is a limited liability where the shares will be held for a particular period of time, and they are liable to pay only the face value and nothing beyond that, okay? Their liability is limited. Then you have liquidator, a person who comes in picture at the time of winding up of a company. He will identify what are the assets and what are the liabilities, how it needs to be paid, and what will be the balance amount available to pay to the shareholders. Okay, that will be called as liquidator. Then liquidity, the cash flow statement where we have enough assets or liabilities, that will be called as cash flow statements. So based on this, just go across, read these terms. Okay, you have a couple of another 2-3 sheets. Okay, overheads, basic terms are there. Okay, nothing much difficult or something. If you find it difficult, again kindly go to m-w or Google that particular term. Okay, I'll just give this m-w.com. Okay, so just go to this website or go to Google, search for this particular words, read these words. We have tried to explain you most of the words. Okay, almost 60%, 60-70% of the words we have tried to explain. So based on these words, kindly go study it and prepare for your exam. Okay, so since this was a time constraint filled classes, we have tried our level best to give you the best information possible. Okay, now you can start with your questions. Kindly don't repeat, be peaceful and explain these things. Okay, just a minute. What is the difference between dismissal and disposal? Dismissal is purposefully, disposal is everything will be settled. Okay, the judgment will be settled and given as per the requirement of both the parties. If anybody is grieved, then they can make an appeal. Okay, highlighted PDF will not be shared because it is an edited version what I have. The actual PDF is available in ICSI website. Okay, this is the last class and we are done for the project. Should we remember all the terminologies? Advisable to at least study and memorize most of the terminologies, because the questions how it will be asked is they can give you an sentence and give you 4 options and say which is the best suitable terminology, or they can give you the terminology and ask you what is the best explanation for that. So read all the terminologies at least 3 to 4 times. If you read that and understand the meaning, it will be easier for you to identify the terminologies. Okay. Um, Attention. What is that? I didn't understand. What is attention? Please explain declaration. Declaration is a method where I try to declare saying that these are the points which I abide by, and I will understand and give them a certification saying that all these conditions will be complied by me. Okay, agreed by me over a period of time. That's called as declaration. Uh, Ma'am, could you please give us brief of how Viva would be conducted? Viva depends from the chapter to chapter. So as I've explained you, all these concepts, whatever is being explained in business communication, go through your textbooks. Okay. So they can ask you different types of communication, what is non-verbal communication, like that. It will be basic questions. So here we will understand, we will try to interpret like what is your understanding, how much you have understood, and how you try to express that. Okay, so this is what will be basically there. So don't panic or anything, it will be easier. What is okay, what do you mean by agenda? Agenda is the list of items which will be discussed in a particular meeting. That is what is once I give a notice and agenda. I told you once you come to executive level, all these terms will be common. There, notice and agenda will be the terms which will be available, where they will tell us what are the items that's going to be discussed in this particular meeting. Okay. Arbitration means a process where an arbitrator will be appointed for settling a case. If this is a primary level, if arbitrator is not able to settle the case, this will be as per Arbitration Act 1999. If you are not able to settle this particular process, then we can go for like any district court, high court, or Supreme Court. Okay, so this is a primary level. Instead of going to the court and spending time, we will go for arbitration. Okay, internal settlement. Act of God is now present or not? Yes, it is present. What is jumbo certificate? If I have multiple share certificates, as I told you, 1 lakh shares I have invested in company A. Instead of having 1 lakh share certificates, I can surrender it to the company and ask them to give me one certificate with all the details what is given in 1 lakh share certificate. Okay, that's called jumbo certificate. Ma'am, can you please tell us about Viva? I've explained. How will the terminologies be coming in the exam? I've explained. From Devesh to all panelists, as described is, oh my God, what is that? I don't know. Mock test, it is available on ICSI website. Kindly go check there. You have mock tests. Kindly take those mock tests. It will help you understand how exam questions will be given. Okay. Um, Sorry, we don't share any of our contact details. Recorded classes will be uploaded in YouTube. Yes, it will be uploaded. It will be available to you shortly. Okay. Then you have see, people are asking again the same questions, like what is arbitration, what is disbursement, and all these things. Kindly go across and read these concepts. Okay, it is not difficult, and they will not ask you in depth, because this is the primary level. We know that you will not be knowing so much of information. We are not asking you what is ADR and asking you to explain, or what is GDR and asking you to explain. This is just the basic concepts where you have to understand, okay, what is ADR? ADR is an American depository receipt. If I want to invest in any American securities, I have to do it through ADRs if I am a person living outside America. Okay, so these are basic concepts which we are trying to tell you. Okay, these are the things. Don't go too much into this and ask. Okay, people have asked me what is price rigging, what is futures, what is forwards. See, I understand you will not I can't teach you in depth in given 1.5 hour class. Okay, so these concepts are something which we will take for, if you are coming for coaching classes, there we will teach you in depth all these concepts. Okay, so these can't be explained in 1 hour class, all the concepts, but here we are trying to tell you these are the terms. Kindly know the terms. So the next level, when you come for executive level, you will know the basic meaning of what these terms are. Okay, so if you are not understanding these terms, kindly read it here. If you are not still able to understand, go back to Google or MI4W and understand what are these concepts. Okay, it is easy, it's not very hardcore. Okay, the basic knowledge is more than enough. Again, what is attestation, what is disbursement, explain. What is CRISIL? Only the example is enough, like what we have given the full form, that's more than enough. In depth, we are not going to ask you what is credit rating, how, what are the ratings being provided by CRISIL. That is not there. It is there only in your final level. Okay, date for Viva Votes, it will be provided by the chapter. Kindly wait. Okay, check with your chapters what are the dates for your Viva Votes. It differs from chapter to chapter. This is an all India level, so we can't tell you each chapter what are the dates. Okay. What is okay, Viva for all the subjects, ma'am? Date for Viva, please go check with your chapter. They will let you know what are the Viva dates. Arbitration, I've explained, again the same question. Disbursement, explained, same question. For communication or for other chapters also, Viva words will be please check related to your Viva. All the questions, kindly check with your chapter. They will explain you, because it depends on chapter to chapter. Okay, what does tax lien means? There's nothing called tax lien. Simple language, what will the clause be in simple language? Clause will be a condition. Condition is something called as clause. Quorum, a number of people supposed to meet and attend a meeting, will be called as quorum. Common law means it is not an act still. Okay, it is just a case study. The case study will be used as a reference or noting for the next case or similar case judgments. Okay, the judgment given in a particular case will be used as an example for another case. That is called as common law. It is not an applicable act as such. Thank you. The session was good and was easily understandable. Okay, thank you. Okay, what is price band? The price at which initial public offer will happen. For this, we will give you a price band. You have to quote a particular price, and based on that, the shares will be allotted. For this, we will again go with book building process and all these things. Okay. Floating charge, the charge will not be final. It depends on the amount of money what you take as loan. If I take 1 lakh rupee, it will be 7%, 2 lakh rupee 8%, 3 lakh rupee 9%. So this is called as floating charge. but in fixed charge, whatever amount you take, the percentage of interest will be fixed. Okay. Okay, the same questions are popping up. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Few people have given a good feedback. And thanks. We had a good experience. We understood the concepts. Thank you. You will provide MCQ questions for practice? No, I will not be providing. It is already being provided by ICSI chapter and mock tests. Kindly go through those questions. Okay. See, again, you're asking for the same things we have explained. Fine. Thank you, one and all. This is my last class. Okay. I hope it was informative. We have done this as a free session so that you're not being lost and people couldn't attend your online class, like you couldn't come for actual classes conducted by the chapter. So to help you, we have done these free classes and we have helped you out. So hope this has been helpful for you. The recordings will be available on our YouTube channel shortly. Okay, and all the information will be available there. If you have any doubts with relation to exams or viva, mock test, all these things, if you are not able to identify where it is available, kindly call up the chapter and people will help you out there. Okay, if anything else, kindly contact the relevant chapters. We will be happy because this is being conducted by headquarters Delhi. The classes what we are taking now is directly conducted by Delhi headquarters. So if you have any other particular doubts, kindly contact your chapters. Okay. So if you want any further details or if you have not understood this and if you want any detailed classes or something, even through chapters, they will have online classes which will be paid classes. Basically in those classes they will take it for a longer time. Okay, so there they will explain you in detail because this was for a span of close to 1100 people for whom we have conducted these classes. So there it will be a smaller strength where it will be like close to 100 or 70, 80, 100 students. There it will be easier for us to explain each of the doubts what you come and ask. Okay, so kindly understand we have a time span, we have a time limit where we can't go in detail and explain each concepts. Okay, but we have tried our level best to give you an overall understanding and make you understand this chapter in a simpler way. Okay, so hope it is being informative and useful. If you want additional coaching, kindly approach your chapter. They will have actual classes or online classes, however it is. Okay, there they will help you out by providing additional information. Like if you want more information or understanding about the topic, you can get it there. Okay, I hope you understood all the things what we have explained so far, and all the very best for your exams. Take care of yourselves. There is a lot of chaos in the um, society right now with COVID. Kindly be safe, protective, and attend your exams in a very cautious and careful manner. And all the very best for your exams. Okay, you take care and do well in your exams. Fine. Thank you. We'll just end the class and hope it's been informative. Okay. Thank you.